Mr. Brown, what sort of music did you listen to when you were growing up?
Guitar, R&B, gospel, country, all types of music. Didn't get very much classical music, though. It's more or less guitars, a lot of guitars.
Do you remember when you first became interested in music?
As a kid, I used to play harmonica.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how, what? Oh, right, thank you. Because I won't be, it'll only be you that people will be hearing.
Uh-huh.
They won't be hearing me or my question. If you can, if I say, when did you first become interested in music? Say, I first became interested in music, so I can have a complete answer, so
All
you can
right.
just cut right in.
Okay.
Okay? So we'll do that one again. When did you first become interested in music?
I first became interested in music when I was a little kid, about 6, 8 years old. And I used to play harmonica a long time ago. My father bought me my first harmonica. Cost about 25, I think, 10 or 15 cents.
When did you start singing?
I can't remember. It just, something kind of grew on me. I didn't get a chance to get a formal education, so not getting an education, you had to do the best thing you could, you know. And singing and dancing, entertaining was always an outlet for me.
Do you remember your very first performance?
I think the Lenox Theater on 9th Street in Augusta, Georgia. The Lenox Theater. I won first prize there. And then I went to the Harlem Theater on Gwinnett Street, which is now a church. And the Lenox Theater is no longer there. It's been torn down. It was a landmark. I wish it had never been torn down.
I wonder when it was torn down, do you know?
I don't know. It was about, I guess, 5 or 6 years ago.
That recently. It's always horrible when landmark buildings like that get torn down, people not having any appreciation.
Well, if you don't have any control over the city or the area, and then a lot of time we lose a lot of our beautiful buildings.
Do you remember, how did you get your first band together? Did you form the band, or did you just walk in as a singer for a different band?
I started with a trio a long time ago called Cremona, Cremona. We took it off a guitar. Cremona Trio. Back in 1945, 46.
Can you tell me a little bit about your first record, Please, Please, Please? How that all came together?
Please, Please, Please. I sang Please, Please, Please about 5 or 6 years before I ever thought about recording, because I never thought I'd get a chance to record it, you know. But I got lucky, thank God. But things kind of unfold themselves, and there I was in a recording studio in 1955, the end of 55.
What record label were you with then? How did that all come
King Records.
Mm-hmm.
I was with King Records. It was my first shot, but they put me on the federal label because they had a lot of different labels, subsidiaries. Federal was a subsidiary to King, on a small label. Deluxe, Federal, I think, and 4 or 5 different labels. They were owned by Mr. Sid Nathan in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Who were some of the other artists that were on the label with you? Do you remember it all?
Otis William and the Charms, the Five Keys, Joe Tex, Little Willie John. I believe Dinah Washington was on the label. The Dominoes were once on the labels, and Roy Brown, Winona Harris, Earl Bostic, Earl Gaines, a lot of artists. I can't think of all the different artists now. It's been a long time.
How did the concept for your live stage show, which is probably world renowned for being the most exciting live stage show there is, how did it all come about?
I don't know. We kind of worked into it. There are a lot of different shows, a lot of different props, a lot of different situations that we do. Each song has a different situation. We try to work it out and live it out and act it out on the stage at the same time. And that type of performance is what we need in all the entertainers today. You should get into it. But I think the entertainers today don't go with uniforms, and that's very important, to be uniformed.
Who designs your costumes?
Myself and a young man in Ohio called Curtis Gibson. He's very
So
good.
I need to stop you. Let's try to, if we can remember to say, my costumes are, so I can have a focal place that I can come in on.
Great.
As much as we can. Okay. So I said, who designed your costumes?
My costumes are designed by a young man in Ohio, Curtis Gibson. But I used to get them out of Texas a long time ago, too, as well.
And how closely do you work with that person? Do you give them ideas as to what you want?
Yes, I do that because I want to know what I'm wearing. I like to feel comfortable. And when I perform, I like to feel that I had a hand in putting my uniforms together.
When, and as a part of your live stage show, do you do all of your own choreography? Have you always done that?
I do. I've done it in the past, but now we have people in the group that it comes with a lot of different movements.
It's hard for me to sometimes ask questions because when I'm asking them, I'm thinking about your dancing and I'm seeing it and I'm getting tight.
Okay.
Everybody would like to know what we're doing, how we get into it. It's so something that is spiritual, you know. And you don't know what you're going to go into. It happens.
Okay, that's sort of leading us real quickly into my next question. How would you, as probably the pinnacle of the genre, how would you define soul music?
A feeling, life. Soul is life. Soul is everyday movement. It's what we feel, the way we act. Spiritually, you're guided. God has all control of the movement of what we do on the stage.
Do you think that there is, we were talking a few minutes ago about the Hall of Fame, and you made a statement about music needing to go back to maybe some of what it was before. Do you think, Mr. Brown, that there's much soul in music today?
No.
How come?
Because of the producers and the people telling you what to do. The artists don't get a chance to do themselves. Everybody sounds the same. I was in my room in New York City, and I was somewhat disturbed because everybody sounded alike. The radio stations the different radio stations on there, you know, they didn't have variations of themselves. They were mechanically put together, and we need individual concepts again. We need people to be able to do themselves. The announcers should be able to do themselves. And I would like to see announcers today have a chance to pick a lot of the records that they feel themselves, as well as respect the program director, but they should have some freedom, because there's no individualism no more, you know. Who am I? You know, I am my program director, but who am I myself? You know, thank God I've been able to do myself, and I've been programmed by my own mind. Naturally, I've been able to do other people's songs in the past, but I've always interject myself. You know, I've always been able to go back to myself. I use my own soul if I do something.
That's interesting. I think that it would be very difficult for people who are starting out today. It doesn't seem as if they have as much of an opportunity to, as you just said, to develop or even to make mistakes if that's necessary, because they're thrown out in front of the media so quickly.
I believe that we are controlling the destiny of young performers, and we don't see the different variations of things that we could get, you know. the normal things. The record business is needed very much. We're going to have to go back to 45 records. The 45s has to be there, and then the albums and the 12-inch. But the 45s must be there, because the 45s gives that individual personality, and that's what we don't have. You know, you need the 45 records because that's an advertisement of that person, of that soul, how different they can be. Give them a chance to be themselves. You know.
In the mid-'60s, your popularity really, really took off. Why was that?
Well, in the mid-'60s, I had more control over my recordings. And I would like to, I'm with a new record company, Scotty Brothers, a subsidiary of CBS, and I would like to be able to produce a lot of things myself again. We've got to get the individualism again so we can get the music back. Everybody sound alike. And that's terrible what's happening in the music business today. There's no variation of people no more. You know?
Exactly.
Everybody's doing the same thing. You know. I'd like to see the Apollo Theater come back and focus again too. Weekly. I'd like to see theaters downtown, and not just the Apollo Theater, but I'd like to see the Howard Theater in Washington, D.C. I'd like to see a theater in Baltimore. I'd like to see one in Chicago, Cleveland, Boston, Philadelphia, you know, Detroit. I'd like to see one in Kansas City, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Atlanta, you know, Houston, Dallas, the major cities.
Okay, and in response to what you were just saying, and you mentioned seeing the Apollo come back to theaters and everything, it seems like your life stage.
I'm the last of the people who are doing the real performance again, you know.
Exactly.
And carrying your own band and be in uniform. And I want to see people organize, you know. Different groups, you know, what the ideas are.
How important...
There's no show business now. We're kidding ourselves.
Yeah, and I think in one sense of the word, you're absolutely
It's been good for
right.
me. I mean, because everybody come to see James Brown. We was in Paris, France about almost 2 years ago, had 1,003,000 people. 1,003,000 people. Now I was in Little Rock, Arkansas, we had 57,000 people. We have a lot of people in different places, you know. But I would like to see the gigantic audience come out again and participate and be a part. Not just for James Brown, but the Chubby Checkers, the Fat Dominoes, the Chuck Berrys, the Barry Manilow's, the Big Jaggers, the Michael Jackson, Lionel Richie, Tina Turner's, Barbra Streisand. I like to see people get out on the road again and perform again.
So the actual...
I dare you to come out here. Come on out here with me. Sitting back in your hole. I dare you to come out. Come out on the road.
How many days a year are you out on the road, Mr. Brown?
We out on the road 75% of the year. And I love it. My wife and I would travel together. Heart to Heart is coming back. James and Adrian.
That's great. So your...
The husband and wife combinations, I think they're very good, you know. Show a lot of personality. My wife is going to start going on stage with me.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to make her get on stage.
Are you a performer?
She sings backstage a lot. Yeah. She sings backstage, she sings on stage too, but I mean, we was in Italy about a month ago, and she was on the stage with me.
Oh, great.
I'm going to start bringing her on stage a lot because I think it's a good family show, and hopefully some of my kids can get involved in my entertainment pretty soon too.
Well, that would be fabulous.
Yeah, we want to see that again.
That's great. It's not very often that you see somebody that's that family oriented.
Yeah, I'm starting having my wife help me close the show every night from now on. We got a good routine lined up.
Keep her busy.
Yeah, she's very busy. She's very active. It'd be very hard for me to function in show business without my wife being involved. I'm very proud of the way she helps me work.
Oh, that's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to hear. I need to change the subject just a tiny little bit.
Should I?
I've got to. In the late 60s, you became very much a symbol of Black pride.
Well, I don't like to talk about black and describing people with color, because I think we should describe cars and buildings and clothes and things like that. If we got to go in a black and white issue, then we're not going very far. We're adding to what we see on television. And this is very bad to go into that issue.
Okay.
I would like not to go into that issue of race, you know. Race is nice, but not race.
Well, then we'll go on to a different.
Cultures we can talk about, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about the Oriental culture, the Japanese, Italian, the Germans, the Jews, whatever, you know.
Okay. Then we'll go on to a different topic. How's
All right.
that?
All right.
That was easy enough.
That's right.
We're gonna play because of in putting this show together. There are, as I said when we were sitting talking a few minutes ago, it is a soul about show music. It is a show about soul music, and there will be
Soul, everybody has a soul. Everybody has a soul, regardless of what their nationality, their race, or religion, or where they come from. Everybody's right in their own eyesight. Let's face that. Everybody feel that they're right, you know. That's when we have different people sitting down in conventions, expressing their views and thoughts, you know, because everybody is right in their sight. So I can't look at you and tell you that you're wrong, you know. Everybody has their own feeling.
Right.
And I respect another person's opinion, their feelings, you know.
Okay. Okay. So I need to ask you about some other people and some
Okay.
other topics. Okay.
All right, talk about it.
So we're going to play musical association. I'm going to say something to you, and you're going to tell me a couple of sentences about
Okay.
that person or thing. Okay.
All right.
Okay. So we're going to play musical association. And remember, when I ask you something, you try to repeat the word that I say. What comes to your mind when I say Ray Charles?
When you say Ray Charles, I think of what I say. I've got a woman. I think of a lot of instrumental things he's done. Ray Charles is a very fine performer. He has his own individual style. I appreciate watching him, as I would appreciate watching Sinatra, B.B. King, Streisand, or whatever.
Sam Cooke.
Sam Cooke, very good singer. He's one of the few people that could really sing.
Do you have a favorite Sam Cooke record?
You send me.
Yeah. Jackie Wilson.
I like Jackie's favorite song, Repeat. That goes way back, and that's why I love her so. I like her older things.
Okay, how about Aretha Franklin?
I like Respect. I like Chain of Love. Call Me.
Did you ever work with Aretha?
Now, Aretha and I never worked together. We worked on a show one time, Sam Riddle, years ago. It was a pantomime show. She's a great performer.
How about Tina Turner?
Tina Turner? I don't remember working with Tina. Tina came on my show years ago, the 5-4 Ballroom in Los Angeles when it was still around. But she's a dynamic performer. Energetic. She gives her all.
It's really nice to see her new career in the 80s.
It is nice to see. She worked very hard for it.
She's an incredible performer.
She deserves everything she gets.
What about Otis Redding?
Otis Redding, a hard-working young man when he was alive. He had his own style. He looked at James Brown a lot, but he still found himself.
How about Stevie Wonder?
Stevie Wonder, I think Stevie is a great performer. He tries very hard. He's done some very good things. He plays harmonica very well. He's a very talented musician as well.
What about Al Green?
Al Green was very talented musician. A very talented singer. He didn't get a chance to do all the things he wanted to do in the business, but I believe he should have a chance to come back into what he was doing.
What about the Blues Brothers?
John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd, two of the greatest people that I've ever met. I wish John was still alive and they were still together as a team. Dan Aykroyd is a great guy. I think he's very lonesome for John because I think they were a team, like Bud Everett and Lou Costello, like Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis. I think pairs should continue to be together.
What was it like working on the film?
With the Blues Brothers,
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of fun. Very interesting, but I was very concerned because I'm very religious myself, and I thought it was a religious film, and found out it was a comedy as well. But what I was doing, I believed in what I was doing, and it came up in a movie that became a comedy. But it was a very good movie. It had a lot to say. A lot of messages was in that movie. It could be run over and over again. You'll find some of the things that you never thought was in that movie.
Oh, I thought you needed to change tape or something.
Can I ask him about Rocky and all that?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. We're working our way up through
Stallone
there.
and all that.
I'm sorry, what?
Mr. Stallone.
Sure.
Great.
Sure. We're working our way up through our movie questions. Well, in fact, we might as well just go ahead and do it now. What was it? How did it come about you being involved in Rocky IV?
The same man who got me into the Blues Brothers, Richard Dostell, network talent. Richard has always been very good in finding parts for James Brown and Rocky IV. He talked to me a long time about Rocky IV, and I finally made my mind up like the Blues Brothers, you know. Stallone, very good, fine gentleman to work with. He did a fantastic job directing it, and also acting itself as Rocky. I like all the things he does. A lot of characteristic things that I like myself.
Name some.
I don't know. He has a lot of James Brown there.
You're both fighters.
Fighters for what we believe in. Yeah. Stallone, to me, is one of the great performers that had a long ways to go in this business. I want him continued success, because he said it was very good for me in my career.
How did the song come about? I mean, who wrote the song?
Dan Hartman, Charlie Midnight. We're going to do an album together pretty soon. We'll get some material together now. Dan and I, we work very good together. A very good writer and arranger, and Charlie Midnight as well. I hope to do a lot of things with them.
Great, because it's a great tune.
Yep.
As well, I mean, I find myself singing.
Well, there are a lot of things in that song. It's a lot heavier than people thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How political are you, Mr. Brown? Are you?
My politics are to myself. I respect a lot of people. I respect a lot of people in the business. Senator Humphrey, Vice President Humphrey, Senator Humphrey, he was my favorite of all people, but I was involved with Johnson, President Johnson, the late President Johnson, President Nixon. I met President Carter, Mr. Reagan, President Reagan. We've been a one-on-one, talked a lot. I have a lot of respect for Mr. Reagan. He and his family. I like his family ties.
Okay, let's, politics is always such a heavy thing to get into. Let's go to something.
Well, I like him as an actor, too.
Mm-hmm.
I like Ronald Reagan as an actor. I think he's a fine man. I think anytime a man at his age is that active and want to do a job, I think my hat's off to him.
Okay. Let's go back to, let's see, we're in musical association. Let's go back a little bit. And if I were to say a derivation of soul, blue-eyed soul, is there such a thing, do you think? And
I think everybody has soul. Was blue-eyed, brown-eyed, green-eyed, whatever. Uh, you talking about bluegrass music, country music, the picking. Charlie Daniels is a very good friend of mine. He's one of my very good friends. I go back to country, little Jimmy Dickens, Grand Ole Opry, Roy Acuff, Porter Wagner. A lot of people I like. Bob Mandrell was a very good friend of mine. She still is a very good friend of mine. Johnny Cash. A lot of people that I like in the business. I like all performers. They all have something to say.
are there any new artists of the 80s that you're watching real closely, kids that you think have got it?
I see Lionel doing a lot of work. I see Prince working hard. I see Michael was working. I think he's relaxing now, but he probably in the studio doing something. I'm not really pointing myself at a lot of people. I'd like to see some of the other. I'd like to see Neil Sedaka come back and do some more things too. I like Neil a lot. I like Neil Diamond. I like a lot of the groups that are singing. I like some of the groups that has gotten out of the business. I'd like to see them come back. The Shy-Lights. I like to see the Dells. I like to see Ray Goodman and Brown go back to their old name, the Moments. I like to see a lot of those things come back to itself. I like to see Ruben and the Romantics come back together. Frankie Valli and them are good friends of mine. I like to see the Rolling Stones and Mick Jagger go back together as one. I think they separated and lost. I think they should go back together, reunite. I'd even like to see the Beatles come back on the road.
Yeah, for sure. Have you ever seen Prince's stage show?
I saw some of his tapes, and I saw my old show that I used to do a long time ago. He's following James Brown's footsteps. He said I'm his idol, and I appreciate that very, very much.
That was going to be my question. How much of yourself do you see in him? Yeah.
I see myself in a lot of them.
Who else do you see yourself in?
Most of the entertainers of today, you know, they got to pattern after somebody. You got to pattern after who's out there. All of the performers. There's a lot of people I just see come. I just see Tams, a good friend of mine, John Marshall, who was with the Tams. He's a young man I've been working with a lot. And a lot of the singers I like to see come back. A lot of them I respect. I think Roy Clark is a very talented fellow on Hee-Haw.
We did an interview the other day with Ben E. King.
Benny King, one of the great people.
What a great
One of the great people. I'd like to see Chuck Jackson come back. A lot of people I'd like to see come back. Hank Ballard and the Midnighters. I think Hank Ballard, one of the great performers. These people need shots. The Apollo Theater is needed very, very bad in New York. Music will not take its right tour unless the Apollo Theater come back.
Of all the songs that you've recorded and all the hits that you've had, do you have a favorite?
It's a man's world. Please, please, please. Sex Machine, all the time. Probably the greatest dance song ever was put out. Papa's Got a Brand New Bag. Night Train. I Can't Stand Myself. Get on a Good Foot. Doing It to Death. All of my songs, they will be around the classics. Hot Pants. They can keep on coming. Soul Power. Brother Rap, that side of the rap music, you know. Try Me, Lost Someone, Prisoner of Love. They'll keep coming back over and over again. People keep singing them.
In talking to Mr. Rebo here, I understand that you were with a band called the New
Force MD.
Force MD, and you gave them some good advice. Do you remember what that
The
was?
group, the Force MDs, yeah, I talked to them. They remind me of Frank and Lyman, the teenagers years ago. And I talked to them, the Del Phonics and people like that. I thought it was a very, very good, one of the doo-wop groups, you know, and they have that old New York Cadillac sound, you know. I'd like to see those groups come back. They're walking around in the street, and all they have to do is get them back.
What sort of advice would you give a band like that? Then? What would you say to them about that?
I would tell them to be uniformed at all times and work very, very hard and believe in what they're doing.
What was it like working with Bombada?
Africa Bambaataa, I thought he was fantastic, young man, energetic, and had a lot of good thoughts and concerned about humanity. And sometimes, anytime somebody's concerned about humanity, we got to be concerned about them because we want them to continue on.
That's a nice statement. Do you have, and reading about you recently and pulling together the research to sit and talk to you, I've run across about 5 different nicknames for you. Do you have a favorite one?
The Godfather soul.
Why don't you list the names that people are? What names are there besides?
Yeah. What else do people call you? What are the nicknames?
He called Mr. Dynamite, the amazing Mr. Please, 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 Soul Brother #1. I've had a lot of names throughout the days. The hardest working man in show business.
That was my favorite. You said Godfather of Soul is yours. Who came up with that? How did that come about? Do you remember?
Out of the movie Black Caesar.
Let's talk a little bit about it. And we talked a little bit about it off camera, but if you wouldn't mind doing it again. The big honor on Thursday night, being inducted into the Hall of Fame. What was that like?
I thank all the people that were involved in it. I appreciate them picking me as one of the inductees, you know, to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. I thought it was very good, and I thank them very, very much. We had a lot of coverage, and it's going to sell a lot of records, and that's what we're in, entertainment business. I sell entertainment, you know, give you the feeling.
Quiet, please.
What happened? What does 1986 hold for Mr. James Brown?
I don't know. The best is yet to come. 1986, 87, 2000, 2050. I want to keep on living. Live as long as I can, die when I can help it.
And how do you want to be remembered if you had to be remembered for just one thing?
To be remembered as James Brown, who's concerned about other people.
I think that would do it for me. Yeah, thank you.